Picture this: Bryan Johnson, the millionaire biohacker who literally blood swapped with his own teenage son, sitting across from a Wired journalist in July 2025. His face carries that familiar intensity we've seen in countless interviews. But then he drops a bombshell that nobody saw coming. He calls his flagship company, Blueprint, the very foundation of his $2 million a year anti-aging protocol, a quote, pain in the ass. And he's thinking about selling it or shutting it down entirely. Is the world's most measured man actually about to quit his obsession with cheating death? Because if you've been following this story, this feels like watching Superman decide to hang up his cape. We're talking about the guy who turned his body into a living laboratory, who founded a literal religion called Don't Die, and who claims to have the biomarkers of an 18-year-old at age 47. Welcome back on the longevity journey, where we talk about the science, people, and everyday habits which help us live healthier and longer. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because you're about to witness the wildest 48-hour roller coaster in the anti-aging world. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. So let's rewind to Monday morning, July 21st. Wired publishes this interview where Johnson doesn't just call Blueprint a pain in the ass, he says he's so close to either shutting it down or selling it. Then he adds this kicker: I don't need the money. Imagine the founder of Coca-Cola saying he's tired of making soda. That's the level of shock we're talking about here. Within hours, the internet explodes. CNBC picks it up, Business Insider runs with it, and almost all major news outlets headlines it. Suddenly, everyone's asking the same question. Is Bryan Johnson having a midlife crisis at 47? Is this the beginning of the end for the Don't Die movement? But here's where it gets really interesting. Because exactly 24 hours later, Johnson fires back with a 2,000-word thread on X. Yes, 2,000 words. The guy basically wrote a novella on Twitter, completely reversing course. Picture him probably pacing around his Beverly Hills mansion, frantically typing on his phone, realizing he might have just torched his entire brand with the one casual comment. In this epic thread, he clarifies that the Wired interview was filmed 3 months ago, and since then, he's had what he calls an epiphany. Not only is he not selling Blueprint, he's going all in. He unveils 4 massive new divisions: Blueprint Nourish, Biomarkers, Quantified, and Clinics. He's actively searching for a new CEO and CTO. This isn't a retreat, it's a full-scale expansion. So which Bryan Johnson do we believe? The one calling his company a burden that's keeping him from saving humanity from super-intelligent AI, or the one promising to turn longevity into a global game with leaderboards and rewards? To understand this whiplash, we need to go back to how we got here. Picture 2013. Johnson just sold Braintree and Venmo to PayPal for $800 million. He's 36 years old, ridiculously wealthy, and facing what every tech entrepreneur fears. What do you do for an encore? Most billionaires buy yachts or sports teams. Johnson bought something much weirder: the promise of immortality. He poured $25 million of his own cash into Project Blueprint, turning himself into what he calls the most measured human in history. We're talking about a man who tracks every calorie, every heartbeat, every molecule that enters his body. Imagine waking up at 5 a.m. every single day, consuming exactly 1,977 calories of perfectly measured nutrition, taking over 100 supplements, and having your blood, urine, and stool analyzed more frequently than most people check their email. That's been Johnson's life for 4 years straight. And here's the crazy part: it's actually working. His biomarkers genuinely show the profile of someone decades younger. His cardiovascular age, his skin elasticity, his cognitive function, all measurably improved. He's not just claiming to be aging backwards, he's got the lab reports to prove it. But then came the business side, and this is where things get complicated. Initially, Johnson was just trying to solve his own problem. He couldn't find supplements that met his ridiculously high standards, so he started manufacturing his own. Third-party testing for heavy metals, precise dosing, pharmaceutical-grade purity, the works. His friends and family started asking for access. Then their friends asked, The circle kept expanding until suddenly Johnson found himself running a consumer packaged goods company. Picture a former tech CEO who's used to building software suddenly dealing with supply chains, FDA labeling requirements, and angry customers complaining about delayed shipments. Johnson claims Blueprint is break-even, but the New York Times reported in March that the company was burning through $1 million every month. When you're selling a longevity drink for $55 and mushroom coffee for $42, even with premium margins, the math gets tough fast. Industry analysts estimate Blueprint has maybe 40,000 to 60,000 customers. Impressive for a niche brand, but tiny compared to Athletic Greens' 500,000 subscribers, which helped them reach a $1.2 billion valuation. This brings us to the core tension that's been eating at Johnson. He doesn't want to be seen as just another supplement salesman. Picture him scrolling through social media comments calling him a grifter and a tech bro vampire. These labels sting because they undermine what he sees as his real mission, which isn't selling pills, but literally saving humanity from extinction. Johnson genuinely believes we're facing an existential crisis. Artificial superintelligence is coming, climate change is accelerating, and humanity needs to unite around a single ideology: don't die. Not just individual longevity, but species survival. He wants to build something between a philosophy, a religion, and a global movement. But every minute he spends dealing with Blueprint's operational headaches, like suppliers shipping contaminated ingredients that get stuck on boats, is a minute not spent building this movement. Imagine trying to be both Gandhi and the CEO of General Mills. The philosophical and commercial missions keep colliding. This tension mirrors what's happening across the entire longevity sector. You've got brilliant scientists making genuine breakthroughs, but they're competing for attention with flashy influencers making wild claims. Remember when Johnson temporarily halted his plasma exchange experiments with his son after media labeled him a vampire? That's the reputational risk of mixing serious science with sensational marketing. The regulatory environment isn't helping either. The FDA is cracking down on supplement companies making health claims they can't prove. Johnson's marketing talks about the best biomarkers on Earth, but regulators want to see randomized controlled trials, not just one man's impressive lab results. So what happens next? Let's game out 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, Johnson successfully raises a Series B, installs an experienced CEO to handle day-to-day operations, and Blueprint becomes the Red Bull of anti-aging. They open biomarker clinics in Los Angeles and Miami, create a social platform around longevity gaming, and aim for an IPO by 2029. Johnson gets to focus on his don't die philosophy while Blueprint scales globally. Scenario 2, Johnson realizes the commercial and philosophical missions really can't coexist. He sells Blueprint to a wellness conglomerate, maybe Nestle Health Science, or a private equity roll-up for somewhere around $150 to $200 million. He uses the proceeds to fund Don't Die as a pure ideology, maybe partnering with his brain-computer interface company Kernel to build a movement around AI alignment rather than supplement sales. Scenario 3, the regulatory environment tightens, media fatigue sets in, and Blueprint faces a slow decline. Johnson pivots to licensing his protocols to existing supplement companies while maintaining Blueprint as a premium research brand for true believers. Personally, I think we're headed towards scenario 1, but with major modifications. Johnson's July 23rd thread reads like someone who's realized he can't abandon his most tangible success story. Blueprint might be a pain in his ass, but it's also proof that his philosophy works in the real world. The 4-division expansion he outlined, Nourish, Biomarkers, Quantified, and Clinics, suggests he's trying to build an entire ecosystem around longevity optimization. Picture walking into a Blueprint clinic in Beverly Hills, getting comprehensive biomarker testing, receiving a personalized supplement protocol, tracking your progress on a social app with leaderboards, and competing with friends for the best aging scores. But here's what this whole saga teaches us about the broader longevity space. Evidence beats theaters, but theaters get attention. Johnson's willing to look ridiculous, sharing details about his nighttime erections, posting shortlist photos with his biomarker results, because it keeps the conversation going. But that same attention-seeking behavior makes serious scientists and potential business partners nervous. For those of you actually interested in optimizing your own longevity, the Johnson Blueprint offers some clear lessons. First, Third-party testing matters. If a supplement company won't tell you exactly what's in their products and prove it with independent lab results, walk away. Second, personalization beats one-size-fits-all approaches. Johnson's protocol works for Johnson because it's built around his specific genetics, biomarkers, and goals. Third, be skeptical of dramatic claims without long-term data. Johnson's been doing this for 4 years, which is impressive, but hardly enough to prove he's cracked the aging code. We won't know if his approach truly extends lifespan for decades. Fourth, the social and psychological aspects matter as much as the biochemical ones. Johnson's success isn't just about the supplements he takes, it's about the complete lifestyle optimization, the measurement obsession, and yes, even the public accountability of sharing everything online. Whether Bryan Johnson is pivoting or just posturing, history represents something bigger. The collision between Silicon Valley's move fast and break things mentality and the slow, careful work of actual longevity science. We're living through the Wild West era of anti-aging, where brilliant insights mix with shameless hype, where genuine breakthroughs compete with obvious scams. Johnson's Don't Die movement might sound grandiose, but the core insight is actually pretty simple. In a world facing climate change, AI risks, and social collapse, maybe the most radical thing you can do is refuse to accept death as inevitable. Whether that philosophy can coexist with selling $55 smoothie powder remains to be seen. The next few months will tell us whether Johnson can successfully separate his role as a philosopher from his role as a supplement CEO, or whether the tension will ultimately force him to choose one or the other. Either way, the longevity industry will be watching closely because Johnson's success or failure will shape how the next generation of anti-aging entrepreneurs approach the fundamental question: can you save the world and make money at the same time? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is Bryan Johnson a visionary or just another Silicon Valley hype machine? And if you want to dive deeper into evidence-based longevity strategies that don't require a $2 million budget, hit that subscribe button, because we're breaking down the real science every week. Until then, keep optimizing, but keep questioning everything. Because in the longevity game, the biggest risk isn't aging, it's believing someone else's promises without doing your own homework. And with that, we say goodbye here. Check out our Longevity Leaders playlist where we talk about inspiring personalities in the field of longevity, people who help us live longer and healthier. And on this channel, that's our exact goal. If you found value in this video, hit that like button. I will see you in the next one. Until then, go live your life to the fullest.